at NTV.
Thank you for watching Morning at NTV. This is Stephen Imbide coming to you from Bugorobi. I'm here at the home of Honorable Henry Okello-Oryem. He's the MP for Chua East County, but also the Minister of State for International Relations in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning, Imbide. How are you?
I'm okay.
You're most welcome to my home.
Thank you so much, Honorable.
Thank you.
And first of all, how has this lockdown impacted on your life? Because you, by virtue of the docket you're holding, you're supposed to be traveling a lot. How has it impacted on your life that now that the airports are closed in many countries?
It is true, Mbide, that there have been positives and there have been negatives. But I think on an evaluation, there have been more personal positives than negatives. Since I took my doctorate in 2004 rather, as the Minister of State for International Relations, the job involves extensive travel and extensive staying abroad. And my children have been growing up over the years, and each time, and they've been wondering why Daddy travels so much. When they see my suitcase being outside, my bag being outside, they had this habit of saying, again, and when they say again, that means, are you traveling again?
Yeah.
And as a result, I don't see much of them. I spend most of my time abroad, doing my work. I come back, stay a few days. I'm out of the country again. So there is hardly time for family bonding and the children getting to close to me as much as it's happening now. I think it's normally during the Christmas period that I get to see them most. But even during the holiday period in schools, I don't get to see them much. However, this COVID has given us a unique opportunity. We're all locked up in these premises. The children are not in school. I only work from around 9 o'clock to 2:30, according to the SOP that is in place. And I spend much more time, unusual time with my children. I've got to know my sons better. I've got to know my daughter's habits better. And the bonding has been exceptionally close, which has made me very, very grateful. In addition to that, my children's attitude to life has changed. My children used to hesitate going to the village. And recently I spent most of my time in the village because of not traveling and also the need for my political aspirations. And now my children now want to spend more time in the village. And whereas in the past, nobody wanted even to hear about the village.
I thought by now you'd be thinking about maybe giving it some bit of retirement and go and maybe look after the family up there.
I'm still young. I'm still energetic. I'm still got a lot to that I can contribute. I'm very fortunate that most of my life, half of my life, I spent abroad. In my younger age, I spent most of my time in Tanzania, 9 years during Idi Amin's time. Then from 1981, I spent most of my time in the UK until I came back in 2000. So I've had the experience of living in Africa, another part of Africa country, and seeing the culture, the tradition of that country, and now also the European way of life, lived in Europe, worked in Europe, studied in Europe. And all that experience, I've amalgamated them for the benefit not only of Uganda, but also particularly for my people in Acholi sub-region and zeroing down to Chua East.
Okay, let's talk about also the business that you hold as the Minister in charge of international relations. Particularly, what has been the impact of this lockdown on Uganda's foreign relations?
It has been all the countries that we deal with in terms of bilateral relationship, also in multilateralism, have been greatly affected by the fact that we have now had to find or generate new mechanisms in dealing with bilateral issues and multilateral issues. For example, on a regular basis, this region which we are is what we call the Great Lakes region. And what we call in diplomacy, we call it a hotspot because of the continuous conflict that is in the region. There's a lot of problems in South Sudan. There's a problem with the DRC, with ADF, NALU, and so forth. Sudan itself, main Sudan, has got issues. There's the challenges in Burundi. More recently, we had a storm in a teacup with Rwanda. So this Great Lakes region is very, very active. So it keeps us as ministers of foreign affairs extremely busy in terms of trying to deal with the various conflicts and the various issues in the region. Then we have the other multilateral issues in the UN, in Geneva, that need us which way we go and engage within the international community in meetings to deal with international issues that is within the UN and other bodies. Now, with absence of traveling, we've had to come up with initiatives on how to continue making sure we can engage, to make sure we pacify these situations, but also make progress in issues we have started. As a result, fortunately, as the world should have it, we had, I think we had Skype before, but more recently something came, Zoom came into being. And now you find that a lot of time now is spent
in virtual meetings.
Virtual meetings. Okay. And we're getting used to it, and the international community is also getting used to it. I can tell you something, Billy, that I think that in future, there'll be, my view is that in terms of cutting costs, in terms of reality, in future we might be having less traveling now and more Zooming virtual conferences in future to deal with some of the issues that are not very complicated, that can be dealt over the internet.
Okay, the beginning of the lockdown, I remember there were some meetings that were happening within the region, especially between Uganda and Rwanda. Just bring us to speed what has been transpiring within this period and where we stopped, because at that time there was also an anticipated meeting between these heads of state within the region. What happened and what's the progress for now?
I must say that by the time we went to the lockdown, President Museveni had started engaging his colleague President Kagame directly on the issues that was between Uganda and Rwanda. We had also started having meetings.
Originating from the dispute over the border.
Over the border. We also started having meetings in Rwanda, in Kigali, and in Kampala. Agreed the dates of the meeting. And we also had agreed on issues that had to be resolved amongst the countries. Amongst them, the issue of releasing of prisoners on both sides. Amongst them, giving guarantees that in future people will not be arbitrarily arrested. Those kind of conditions, terms and conditions, were part and parcel of the meetings that were taking place in Kigali and then taking place in Kampala. Swapping in turns. Since then, we have been unable to have that kind of meetings, but we have had meetings, virtual meetings, and to continue on the issues of that were unresolved prior to the lockdown to COVID. And I'm glad to tell you that the relationship between Uganda and Rwanda is improving, and in spite of our differences and in fact unresolved issues, the relationship, I can say, is cordial. I think it is the press and other entities blow it out of proportion for their own reasons, or for sensationalization, or for selling space. Otherwise, I can assure you that as leaders, Minister Sam Kutesa talks to his colleague, the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I talk to my contacts in Rwanda. They call us, and we engage. Because it is in the benefit of both countries that we resolve. We don't have this tiff, and we don't have this conflicts between us, so that the two countries benefit.
People from this region, should they expect that as soon as this lockdown is completely lifted, there will be free flow of businesses, traders will be freely moving in and out?
We hope so. We hope so, because on the Uganda side, there is no obstacle to people going to Rwanda. There is no obstacle from impeding traffic to go to Rwanda, or trade to go to Rwanda, or to go from Rwanda into Burundi. There is nothing as such. The president or the government of Uganda has not stopped Ugandans from going to Rwanda or blocking trade to Rwanda. It is to the contrary, it is the Rwanda side that has closed the borders for traffic to come from the Uganda side. But we hope that after the end of the lockdown, or even during this lockdown, once they are satisfied, we both agree that the terms of our engagements have been addressed, then we can be able to open they will open the borders on their side, and trade and travel will be normal.
Honorable, in this lockdown, many Ugandans are stranded elsewhere, many in China, many in the Middle East, many in the US and everywhere. And they are longing to come back home. But the process of bringing them back, repatriating them, has been, many would say, it has been so slow. And at least, yes, over the weekend, you brought some back home. But how is this being handled? And because many are still wondering when they will be back home.
We would wish to bring all the Ugandans, and our intention is to bring all the Ugandans who are stranded abroad and wish to come back home. We wish to bring all of them, and those who wish to come back home, we're trying our level best to bring them back home. Number one, I want people to understand this very clear. From the offset, but Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs wrote to all our missions, our embassies abroad, asking them to publicize to Ugandans living out there that they should register with the embassies, those who are stranded and have the desire and the will to come back home. And we gave them a timeline in which to register. And many of them registered. Those who wished to come back home and that desire to come home registered. However, a lot others, more others than those who registered, did not register for whatever reason they have. When we started the repatriation and bringing the Ugandans back, we have brought back Ugandans from the Middle East, we brought back from Afghanistan, we brought back Ugandans from India, in fact, from almost all parts of the world. We brought Ugandans from the United States of America, from Europe, we brought Ugandans, except from China yet. Then, to our surprise, many others now started appearing from the woodworks, wishing to come home. Yet they are not originally registered with the embassies. But now, when they realize that they bring people home, they now started registering. Now, the challenges which we have is that there is a SOP, standard operating procedures, of Ugandans who come back from abroad. First of all, before you board the plane, we expect you to have been tested against COVID-19, and have COVID-19, and you have a negative certificate. When you board the plane and you land in Uganda, you'll be tested again.
And taken to quarantine.
And then taken to quarantine for 14 days. And there's there are different categories of quarantine. There's those quarantines where you pay yourself in the hotel, and then there's that quarantine where, if you cannot afford, where they put you in an institutional quarantine where you don't have to pay anything for 14 days. After 14 days, you're tested again and then released to go to your family. After your family.
And they were not able to meet these conditions?
Now, the thing is, we have a certain number of quarantine spaces that we can cope with, because we don't work on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We work with the Ministry of Health, work with the Ministry of Immigration, Ministry of Works, and Ministry of Security. We all work together. Now, the quarantine space that we have are less than 3,000 that we have. So every time we bring, they fill up, we then suspend bringing Ugandans for 14 days. After the 14 days, we have cleared this lot, went under quarantine, we have cleared them. They've left the quarantine center. We disinfect the center and then bring another lot. That's why during this period, you heard around the beginning of the month, we suspended bringing Ugandans until the 18th, when we resumed bringing them again.
Honorable, what could be the reason as to why many refuse to register with the missions? Is it because many don't have the requisite papers?
It is not. It's not. One thing you should realize, that there are many Ugandans out there who are illegal immigrants in those countries. They overstayed their visas for some reason, or they have, or they went there for the wrong purpose and then decided to stay there, and now they have lost their jobs and they wish to come back home. Now, those who are illegals there have no desire to come back home straight, because first of all, you get arrested at the airport by the authorities if they don't give you amnesty, or you'll pay a very heavy fine if you don't pay. Then also most probably that they think to themselves, well, if I go home, what will I go and do home? There's nothing for me to take me home.
But there are those we've seen in the Middle East on social media, of course, posting their pictures and photographs or videos on social media, crying because of the conditions they're working in, because of the situation they are in right now. Also, those.
Yes, but let me tell you, you see, there are a few bad eggs in many good eggs. Those people who sensationalize their situations, if you go on a case-to-case basis, you'll find that there are some people who, for their own reasons, after getting a job, cannot cope with the job, then choose to leave the job. And then when they choose to leave the job, they find themselves, they have broken the terms and conditions of their employment. Then they find themselves stuck in that situation. Then all of a sudden, they're crying, what, wolf? Or they're crying howling, you see? Yet that is a situation that they brought it upon themselves. You see, these people are taken not by Ministry of Foreign Affairs abroad, those who work in the Middle East. They're taken by Ministry of Gender and Labor. And they go under a certain condition, a certain terms and conditions. A few of them get mistreated by their employers when they reach abroad. Others find that they cannot cope with the nature of the job. When they live here, the sensation that when you go there, the job is not very hard, that you'll have a lot of freedom and you'll be able to enjoy yourself. But when they end up there, they find that they're working sometimes from 4 in the morning to late around midnight, daily, 7 days a week. And they find that they were not prepared for that kind of condition. As a result, they run away from their employers, and then they find themselves frustrated, and they start making this noise. Another group also, there are some Ugandans who are in the Middle East, for example in Saudi Arabia, who go and deceive these girls, that you leave that job and I will go and give you a better job somewhere. Then these girls believe these people, the girls leave their jobs, they go with these Ugandans, then they find in the end that these Ugandans have misled them, and Ugandans cannot deliver to what? In their new jobs.
So, some of these Ugandans who are stranded elsewhere would like to participate in the coming elections, and of course even the courts of law granted them that right, that they are okay to participate in these elections, but all indicators show that this is not likely to happen in these coming elections. What could be the problem?
First of all, I would like to assure, before I go to that subject, I'd like to assure you that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is doing everything possible to make sure that we bring back all the Ugandans who are willing to come back home. We are doing everything possible, our means. We have a plan which is set up, country by country and region by region, and we hope that over the next few months.
Does it have a time frame?
They have a time frame, definitely. Because each time frame depends on the quarantine centers that we have. Each time it's full up, okay, we suspend until it's empty again, we disinfect and bring in another group. So there is determination, and they already has been proven. We are proved by two sets of trips, 2 sets of times we brought Ugandans, and I think that we should be applauded for the effort we have done already to bring that amount in the country. There is determination, there is will, and they will come back if they so wish. That is, I would like to give you that assurance. On the issue of the next item you are talking about,
they are right to participate in the elections.
You see, this is something that we have to be handled very properly and have to be seamless, because the issue of elections are very sensitive. Now, we are telling Ugandans abroad in the diaspora that they have a right to vote, of course. But if we want them to vote, we have to have a system in place that is flawless, to make sure that when they are abroad there, okay, the system captures them and the system is reported as they voted. Short of which, in the end, you'll find accusations that there will be a rigging of elections abroad, because there is nobody watching them closely, and they are being done online, and there'll be accusations of manipulation. So we have to be. So those countries who people vote from the diaspora have fine-tuned their system to an effect that it avoids this issue of crying foul.
Some critics have been saying that maybe government just fears them because many have been on the streets protesting against the government here. Maybe those in US, those in the European countries have been on the streets previously protesting against the establishment here. Some are saying that maybe
whatever this government seen and whoever this government dealt with, why should we fear those people in the diaspora? Those are Ugandans like us. And then, I can assure you, the majority of them are even with this government. The problem is the press concentrate on a few, and they make a lot of noise. But many Ugandans who live there are grateful for being there, are grateful for the Ugandan government helping them if they're stuck in situations there. They repatriate their money here. They see there's peace in this country. They can come back to Uganda. They get dual citizenship, which they didn't get before. Many of them who are in the diaspora are now building beautiful houses in Uganda. So they have two homes. They can come here for holiday and fly back to Uganda. So this issue that the government fears them abroad, yes, there are few, of course, who might be discontent with the government, which is normal. But I can assure you the majority are very pleased with this government, and we have no fear. They are allies. You have seen during when we have this UNA.
That is in fact
Yeah.
something I was
Yes,
ask
it's
about
sponsored by the
that.
government of Uganda, and we have even our NRM charter there.
Yeah, you're talking about the UNA, that's the Uganda North American Association.
Yes.
That's usually convene in September, and in Europe, Netherlands to be specific, there is Ugandan community living in Netherlands. They always convene in August, but these are definitely going to be affected because of this ongoing situation of the
Definitely.
lockdown.
And the government of Uganda plays a very big role in organizing these meetings and sponsoring these meetings.
Yes, but specifically talking about business and investment down here in Uganda, what's going to be the impact of these? Because many of these investors, many of these people who would like to invest in Uganda are not able to freely come in now, and many of them have been sending money back home here, but because of this pandemic, many are not able to do so. What's going to be the real impact of this economically?
There is definitely going to be some impact on the economy due to the fact that this COVID has cut out or many investors who are abroad, and they should be back here in Uganda running their businesses. And also those of Ugandans who are abroad who used to send their repatriate money to their families, there's a challenge during this time that we have COVID. However, the beauty about Uganda and which is very unique in other countries, is that this country, in spite of all this, you find that all the factories that should be closed down due to COVID are operating, unlike in other countries. They're operating. The only challenges they might have is that the challenge they might have is that the supply chain where their products are supposed to end up in is the big challenge. How do we make sure that the produce and products reach the markets that the customer used to go there around in the region? Might be a challenge. We are becoming a net exporter to Kenya, and now we have some challenges during this COVID. You see, when the issue for our sugar export to Kenya has dropped down by 90%. All these are the complications that have come during this COVID. But overall, we have got a very strong industrial foundation, a very strong production foundation in this country, and also we are lucky that in this country, during this COVID, the price of food has fallen to almost zero. That many Ugandans, unlike in other places, have access to food. In the other places, people are having a very difficult challenge getting food.
Okay, as we wind up this conversation, just I would like to take you back to the issue of the period you are in, the one of COVID-19, but also the political campaigns that are happening. In the 2016 build-up of that election, we had the European Union and some other development partners coming up and expressing some issues here about how the conduct of elections should be held. What is the communication between you as government and the Western powers, as well as those development partners, as well as we build up to the elections? What's the conversation?
Well, we engage them very constructively. You see, one should give credit to Uganda for being a country that believes, and this government in particular, and President Museveni as a president, for being very democratic. You always throw mud and every kind of things against President Museveni, but when you look at critically at his leadership, sometimes you see the distinct different with other countries. For example, the issue of the European Union, AU coming to observe our elections. They come at our invitation. These people come at our invitation, and we've never stopped them from, we've never, in any one election, stopped them from coming to our
And they make
election.
critical remarks.
They make it. They're free to make it. That's why the beauty of it. We invite them, they make the critical remarks, we listen to them, and we continue. And then we'll invite them again. Other countries around have refused observers to come to the elections completely. They said, we don't want you here. You don't come to our elections. And they've had elections without observers. So now, whom should we get a pat on the back, and who should get a gold cup and a gold medal? Should it be those who who refuse observers to come at all and accept the critics of the observers, or President Museveni and the NRM government who continuously invite these international observers, the EU, the African Union, they come here, they make their noises, they write their reports, we listen to them. Those we think that is worthy of absorbing, we absorb, and those we think not worthy of absorbing, we engage them and explain them why not.
Okay, thank you.
These elections again, we will invite them, unlike other countries, and any other people who want to come and observe our elections are free to come to
welcome.
And they are free to criticize us as they so wish after these elections, and we will listen to their criticisms, and those which are worthy of our absorption will absorb.
Thank you so
those
much.
We think we should engage them on, will engage them on those.
Thank you so much. Your last remark to the viewers, those who are in Uganda and those who are abroad, as we wind up very briefly.
My advice to Ugandans who are abroad and in the diaspora is that we at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in conjunction with other branches of government, is doing everything possible to bring them back home, those who wish to bring them home. There are others who do not wish to come back home. There are others who are working in the diaspora, who are continually, who have jobs, and they do not wish not to come back to Uganda. They're there in China, in the Middle East, and other places. So not all Ugandans want to come back abroad. The other time when I said the Ugandans don't want to come back abroad, people misunderstood. There are Ugandans who have jobs abroad, and they're working abroad, and they would like to continue working abroad. For those who are staying abroad and continue to work abroad and staying abroad, I'd like to assure them that in the event that they want support and assistance from the government of Uganda, they are free to access our embassies or our consulates, and we'll see how best to assist them. But more importantly, I would like Ugandans who are living abroad in the neighboring countries and are living in Europe to make sure that they observe the rules and regulations of those countries in regarding the laws of those countries, and in this particular time, the SOP dealing with COVID-19.
Thank you so much, Honorable Henry Okello Oryem. He's the Member of Parliament for Chua East County and also the Minister for International Relations in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Stephen Mbide here. I've been having conversation with him on a wide range of issues. This is Morning at NTV. I wish you a good day and keep it here on NTV. Thank you so much.
Thank you.